It's got vitamin D for healthy teeth, iron so nails ain't thin. There's vitamin A for your eyes and vitamin C for skin. There's protein for muscle power, calcium for bone construction, vitamin B for energy, and folic acid for reproduction.
Greetings and welcome to the Television Affair number 15, and this is part 2 of Sky Digital's launch in 1998. We've looked at the earlier channels and we're starting from 500, and that's where we find news and documentaries.
Switching on to digital, a new era in television arrives.
Sky News Sunrise with Mark Longhurst and Kay Burley.
Hello, very good morning. It's Thursday, the 1st of October. Welcome to the new look sunrise here at Sky News on the day that we go digital.
Yes, later this hour we'll have reports on the revolution which will transform the way that we watch television.
Sky News was on 501 and it was approaching its 10th year in broadcasting. Kay Burley was also celebrating her 10th year on the channel too. She'd remained controversy-free for another 10 years and recently celebrated 34 and a half years at Sky News. It would have been 35 if she hadn't been suspended for 6 months for breaking London COVID restrictions. Bloomberg Financial News was on 504, BBC News 24 was on 507, and it was on the look they had before it changed all red, with the concept that I like to call the drummety drum flaggety flag branding, until 1999 when it rebranded to the drummety drum beepity beep that we're all used to today. 508 was BBC Parliament, and it used to be called the Parliamentary Channel, previously run by Flextech, but it was purchased by the BBC in 1998, where it relaunched as BBC Parliament. It was definitely an upgrade in the channel's look, if you remember what that used to look like. CNBC was NBC's news channel, and that was at 5:10, and then at 5:13 CNN, still going today. Not much you can really say about it. In 531, Discovery. 532 was Discovery Plus One, which is a new concept at this point because nobody really knew what Plus One actually meant. And if in the future our overlords have made us forget what this is, it's basically just when they used to delay the channel output by an hour. So if you just switch on to Discovery and go, oh, I've missed that one now, you can go, oh, I'll just wait until it's on Plus One. Discovery Travel and Adventure was a channel that showed programming based around, you guessed it, meatballs and underpants. .534 Discovery Civilizations, with programs about historical, ancient and current civilizations.
Discovery Sidetrack brings you everything from the nuts and bolts of human inventions to spectacular natural phenomena. Right now, an edition of Stormy Weather on Lightning.
535 Discovery Sidetrack, later known as Discovery Science, had shows about, you guessed it, hat stands. Just hat stands all the time, constantly hat stands. 538 was National Geographic, and this replaced NBC Europe, which was formerly Super Channel in the UK on analogue satellite. It played nature and science documentaries.
The History Channel returns at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Stand by for an incoming transmission from the Sci-Fi Channel.
The History Channel was at 541, and this was a joint venture between Sky and A&E networks in Europe. There were country local versions of this too. I think it was still going on analogue satellite, but many other countries had their own version of it.
And you can now see us on Sky Digital from midday to midnight.
This is UK Horizons, part of the UK TV network.
Back to UK TV network at 544, and that was UK Horizons, which had crossed over from analogue to digital. Also making the jump was .TV at 547. And at 550, Discovery Animal Planet with shows based on, you guessed it, baboons. 24-hour baboons. 600 was the kids section, and at 601 was the Cartoon Network, and it's +1 on 602. Nickelodeon on 604 with Trouble on 607, and Fox Kids on 610. I mentioned kids channels in episodes 1, 2 and 3, and a little special called 3 in a Bit. So if you want to get the lowdown on all those, then check that out. A few notable missing from here was TCC, because it never made it to Sky Digital. As I mentioned before, that's because Flex Tech pulled the plug on it and has decided to focus on Trouble. CBBC and CBeebies were not there because they didn't launch their own channels until 2002. Before that, you catch CBBC on BBC 1 and 2 and BBC Choice. CITV also wasn't a thing at this point because that wouldn't launch until the ITV News channel was shut down in March 2006. Carlton Kids was a thing though, but you could only get that if you had on digital. Over on music, starting at 6:30, you have MTV at 631, and that was MTV's main channel, which at this stage was mostly music, but sometimes had some reality shows. It was run by Viacom, and it was entering its 10th year in broadcasting. MTV Europe split into country versions in 1997, with the UK's version being MTV UK and Ireland. A new channel from Viacom, M2 or MTV2, would launch on 632. M2 would play indie and alternative music as well as having an interactive feel. It gave viewers the opportunity to make decisions on the programming, mostly the kind of music that they were going to be playing. At 638 is VH1, the grown-up version of MTV, and at this point they were still playing music videos and music documentaries.
Coming up next.
At this point, it wasn't owned by EMAP. It was actually still running in the same format as it was, as I mentioned in the previous video, which was basically phoning in and selecting the music to be played out by the viewers. I think it says a lot, though, that the box had been doing this as well as MTV2, who had decided that their new channel was going to be interactive. The next channel should have probably been put in the entertainment section, but for some reason it was at 644. And before Flex Tech and BBC formed the UK TV network, one of the ideas was to have a TV version of BBC Radio 1. Ideas like this slightly changed due to various reasons, but they pushed ahead with it, especially for the launch of Sky Digital. UK TV launched UK Play, a music and comedy channel aimed at a youth and young adult orientated audience. I actually really liked UK Play when it launched, and it eventually got renamed to Play UK. Keeping with the idea it was going to be a TV version of Radio 1, there was a lot of Radio 1 presenters on the channel. Chris Moyles would have his own show with Comedy Dave.
Howdy partners, and welcome to another legendary Chris Moyles show. Hey, ho, hey. Welcome, I am Chris Moyles, the saver of digital television. Here's Comedy Dave! Yeah, all right, get a move on. Come on, hurry up. We haven't got all day. You alright?
Yes, thank you.
That was a little bit of a long intro, Dave. You should be a lot quicker.
Mark and Lard also had their own shows.
Midnight means the Mark and Lard double bill.
I think we should get somebody else.
I'm fed up with this.
A music quiz with a twist.
Get a grip!
Hello.
It's dangerous stuff where
Posh people are on top of the oik. Oh, blimey, Charlie.
And there's more.
Give us a clue.
I'll give you a tenuous link. Hey, our other show.
3 videos, 1 link to find.
Got it.
You know, right?
Mark and Lard's pop upstairs, downstairs. And tenuous links, midnight, Monday to Thursday on UK Play. It's
absolutely dreadful.
They would end up closing altogether in 2002, but the format would be kind of revived when UK Gold 2 was rebranded to UK G2. Some missing notables here: MTV's other channels such as MTV Base, MTV Dance, MTV Hits. And it would take a couple years for those to assemble. The same for EMAP's channels such as Kiss, Smash Hits, Kerrang! And The Hits. EMAP later changed its name to Bauer, then Bauer sold some of the shares in the stations to Channel 4, and then Channel 4 completely bought them out in 2019. However, in 2024, they've just announced that they're closing all the stations. Next up was shopping, and QVC was still flying high in 1998. They had Channel 660, and 673 was shop! I don't know why it had to have an exclamation mark at the end of it. This was a shopping channel, but you didn't know that, and it was owned by Flextech. And at 688, not to be confused with Sky Travel, was Flextech's TV travel shop.
In just a few minutes, we'll present tonight's feature. But right now, a preview of coming attractions.
There was a number of Sky box office channels that would air movies that had just finished their time in the cinema. That would also include some sports events, usually boxing or some WWF wrestling events that were a special event. It was kind of a weird and annoying actually, because you could get Royal Rumble and WrestleMania on regular Sky Sports, but you could only get UK Rebellion on box office, which was an exclusive and you had to pay extra for. And they also didn't mention the matches that happened on it on Raw afterwards, and it kind of made it feel like it was a bit devalued. The first Royal Rumble to air on Sky Digital, by the way, was called No Chance in Hell, which coincidentally is the same chances of Vince McMahon's reputation surviving his current scandal.
Do you mind from time to time doing certain personal favors? No chance in hell!
Other than some information channels on how to use the bloody thing, along with some local versions of other channels and the adult channels, that was pretty much it for TV. One thing that Sky Digital made a big deal of was the amount of audio-only channels that you could get to. At this point, they weren't really open to radio stations having slots, but on channel 850 and onwards, there was an interesting section called Music Choice. This was a joint venture with Sky and Music Choice Europe, which provided channels that played just music dedicated to certain genres or artists. I actually used to love Music Choice because you could flick over and then it'd just be a radio station without the adverts. To be fair, I'd even forgotten it was a thing until I started researching this. It would later become a single channel that you had to press red to access, and then this would open up a selection of other radio channels. There was another element to Sky Digital, and that was its interactive services, which not only included the ability to order stuff like films on Sky Box Office and some other stuff, but also games. And I won't go into this too much, maybe another day, but check out some videos by Evil Hamburger 64, who's done some videos about this. All the links are in the description. And there you go, another one down. So, on the next look at Sky Digital, we're going to be looking at the year 2000, because not much changed around 1999, other than a couple of other channels getting added. However, around 2000 and 2001, there was a bit of a boom in channels, and some of the channels that came either didn't last that long, or they got bought by somebody else, or it might even be the case that their concepts were mega weird. On the next one, it's probably going to be defunct channels, so look forward to that. Thanks to all the following team members on YouTube and Patreon. Those include Joseph Adams, Stephen Bride, Hooter Noodles, Matthew Beckley, Mark Jackson, Manuel Mobius, Chris Elliott, and Tracker John. The executive producers were Tim Goodwin and Computer Tom. I've been Johnny Robinson, and I'll still be Johnny Robinson after this video's finished. Thank you, bye.